Shalom. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to start this time with the scriptures first because we're talking about planning. And Proverbs 11:14 does say, without clever tactics, an army is defeated, and victory comes from much planning. Now, that's the version from the Complete Jewish Bible, but I want to read it from the Amplified Bible that has more of application dealing with our everyday lives. He said, where there is no wise, intelligent guidance, the people fall and go off course like a ship without a helm. But in the abundance of wise and godly counselors, there is victory. All right, what victory I am talking about today is good health. I'm in really good health, and for to be 75, I get around really well. I'm in my good mind, my right mind. So I want to tell you a little bit about what has helped me get here, and I want to talk a little bit about cooking, how I've cooked and learned to do that. And some of you have heard some of my stories on processing deer and things like that. But that's not to negate, okay? I'm going to tell you, being obedient to Father's word. He said, you want to be well, be obedient to him. So this is a small variable in the equation. All right, let's just start back in, I guess in college. I wasn't cooking, wasn't interested in cooking. Fast food, or when I go home, I would bring stuff, to the dorm and would eat. And I had a dorm pass, but when you go there through the line, you get the stuff that you want, and I would get the stuff that I wanted. And I wasn't necessarily thinking about nutrition. So when Floyd and I got married in 1989, and we didn't adopt children until 1998 is when Winston was born. Okay, so for those almost 9 years, it was just Floyd and I, and Floyd hadn't been a big thing into cooking either. Now my mom was a good cook, and she cooked almost every day. My grandmother cooked every day. My grandmother and my mom canned, and I wasn't really interested in canning or anything like that. And I remember one day going to, was it Myers Thrifty Acres up in Michigan? And I was going, and I don't particularly care for grocery shopping, so I was going and I was piling up on stuff, okay? So when I came through the checkout line, I had at least 30 of those TV dinners or frozen dinners or whatever. So when my stuff rolled along the belt and got to the checkout clerk, she looked at me and she said, "Your husband eat this?" So, and so I got a little defensive. And so, you know what I said? I said, yes. I said, look at the variety that we have. So I guess she must have thought I was a hopeless case. So she just let that go. All right. So now at home, Floyd was glad to get the variety, and I was too, because you just pop it. At that time we were still using a microwave, and so we wouldn't have any problems. Now, sometimes Floyd and I would eat cereal for dinner, okay? So I remember one night, Floyd's mom called and said, well, what, just a matter of conversation, asking Floyd, what are y'all having for dinner? And Floyd said, cereal. And I'm on the other side, it's like, tell your mama, we have had cereal, okay? So, but still, it didn't hit me to do any better. So when we got Winston in the house, I said, "Now I can't serve no." I knew at least enough that I can't serve TV dinners to a growing child, that they need the nourishment for their bones and in their bodies and whatever else. And so I had to start cooking. And so by the fact that they were both adopted, by the time Zoe came around, I started taking cooking classes. And it was mostly because the lady would come to my house and, utilize my pots and pans and stuff like that, and we would cook together. And for me, it was a social event also, because Floyd worked like an hour and some away, so he left out early in the morning and didn't get back until late at night. So for me, it was, it was pleasurable, and it was Alice, and so she taught me a lot. As a matter of fact, I still have the cookbook that she left with me, a lot of home recipes and things that I could do. Very um, informative. Okay, and so. I did that. I took the cooking classes and I learned. And I do remember once where a friend, and she was an older lady, she would can. And so I asked her, I said, well, how do you can? Because I was also getting into growing vegetables in the garden and things like that, and wanted to be able to preserve things without having to always put everything in the freezer. And so she showed me she canned some beets. And I saw how easy the process was. So I bought a ball book and then I started canning stuff. Okay. And so it just I was open to be able to change my way of thinking about, one, what was food, two, to know that good nutrition trumped every time convenience. Okay. And so I was able to put onto a path of good nutrition, so my children haven't had major problems or anything really with the health. I'm in good health. Now, Floyd, that's a different story because you can't really control what people eat up when they're out of your kitchen and out of your sight. So Floyd had issues with diabetes that took him to the grave early. But things that were going on here in the house that I could control, I tried to do that. So if there's things that you think that you might want to do in whatever area of your life, seek good counsel and then follow it. And sometimes, we know to do better, and then we should do better. So thanks for listening. And I see that you all can see behind me, I've got a lot of herbs and some of the herbs and things that I have grown here in my house, and some of the books that I have, so that I can actually cook things in a convenient way. And I tell you, I use the internet a lot, because what I do is I'll Google, I Googled the other day and I haven't made them as yet, a recipe using almond flour for peanut butter cookies. And so there was a recipe with only 3 ingredients, and it's really low in carbohydrates because you got peanut butter, you got almond flour, which is like ground up almonds, so you don't have the wheat. And then it called for maple syrup. And so at some point I would try to make those, but then there's always moderation. You don't eat the whole batch all at one time. So listen, thank you so much for being here today. Shalom.